Alright, so this whole video is going to be on Unit 7, Properties of Polynomials. So number 9, using the limit notation, describe the end behavior of the function. If you guys recall, limit notation, you write it as limit as x approaches negative infinity, your y is going to equal a certain value. And also you'd say the limit as x approaches positive infinity, your y is going to equal a certain value. So as x approaches negative infinity, if you look at the graph, as x goes to negative infinity, which your x value starts to go to the negative side, what direction does your y value tend towards? Well, as the farther I head left, you see here, my graph goes down, but the farther I get left, it starts to increase. Since it increases all the way up, my y values are going to positive infinity. My y values goes up. So as the limit as x approaches negative infinity, my y values go to positive infinity because of the arrow. Because of that arrow, that means they keep on going. Next limit, as x approaches positive infinity, that means my right side, the y values, well, if you see here as positive infinity, we're going in that direction. What's happening to my y values? Well, first we start to decrease, right? But out of nowhere, the further and further we go more positive, it just becomes this trend. And the arrow just signifies that after that, it just keeps on going up. Since it keeps on increasing and non-stop, the limit as x approaches positive infinity, your y is equal to positive infinity as well. Next, identify the domain and range. Well, your domain represents your x values. So, is there any gaps or so forth? For polynomials, I could keep on going to negative infinity or positive infinity non-stop, and I'll always have a y value. So because of that, my domain will be negative infinity to positive infinity. Range represents your y values. What is my lowest y? I know it's not perfect, but let's just, for this sake, let's say your lowest y value is -2. So these 2 points are your lowest y value, -2. Since we could actually touch the point, we use a bracket, -2, comma. After your lowest y value, what is your highest y value? So we're going up. It's not 4 because technically these points are above 4. So I could keep on going up. Because of that, I keep on going up non-stop. I keep on going up, and there's still going to be a value here and a value there. It goes to positive infinity. That represents your range. 11. Write the polynomial in standard form that has a factor of 3x minus 2 and the zeros x equals -1 and x equals 3. So we have the factored form, so that's great. So I could say y is equal to, my bad, erase that, 3x minus 2 parentheses times the quantity of, well, if this is x equals -1, remember this is known as the root, and this is also known as a root. Other words of roots could be zeros or solutions. We have to turn the root into a factor form. All you have to do is just do the opposite, +1 on both sides. That will cancel, leaving you with an x plus 1. Here, subtract here to both sides. That will cancel, and with an x minus 3. So I'm just attaching them next to them. Alright, since they want standard form, remember this is known as factored form. That's factored form. Standard form, we have to distribute. So I'm going to zoom in. for more space, and obviously so I can write neater. We just distribute 3x times x gives me 3x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. Negative 2 times x minus 2x. Negative 2 times 1 minus 2. Since I could only distribute two groups at a time, I had to close the parentheses, and the factor I did not distribute, I just bring it down. Alright, then from here, I always like to collect like terms. Wow, that meant to be a parentheses. So I do 3x squared. That turns out to be these two terms. When I add them up, that's just plus 1x minus 2, parentheses x minus 3. Alright, then from here, me personally, I like to distribute backwards because I'm only dealing with two terms. It's easier to keep track. Other people just like to distribute. Either way, you'll end up with the same answer. I'm going to just distribute backwards. X times, never mind. Might as well distribute the long way instead. To keep things organized. X times 3x squared is 3x cubed. Then x times 1x will give me x squared. And then x times negative 2 will be minus 2x. Now that I finished distributing the x, I have to distribute the negative 3. Negative 3 all the way in the corner. That makes it to be a negative 9x squared. Negative 3 be distributed again. That makes it a minus 3x. And then lastly, negative 2 times negative 3 comes out to be positive 6. Combine like terms, which just for space, move us over here. Zoom out a bit. And you get the equation y is equal to 3x cubed. I know my x squared, negative 9, that comes out to be minus 8x squared. Then I could do my negative 2 and my negative 3. That comes out to be negative 5x. And the last one is just a plus 6. Standard form. Box it. And that would be the correct equation. Distributing. Standard form, distribute. 12. Okay. Zoom out a bit. Okay. Given that x equals 3 is a 0 of f of x is equal to x cubed minus x squared is equal to 14x plus 24, determine the remaining factors. So here, we just have to factor it. In order to factor this, we have to use synthetic division. In order to use synthetic division, we do the box, we do the coefficients, which the coefficients here is 1, 1, and negative 14 and 24, right? We do 1, negative 1, negative 14, and positive 24. Put the line across. Since it's a 0, that means there has to be a remainder at the corner. What goes here? It's going to be your root. X equals 3, it's already a root, so I just have to put it as 3. Do not change the sign if it's in root form. After synthetic division, you have to bring down the first term, which is 1. Then you need to multiply the terms. 3 times 1 is 3. Put it underneath the next term. Then you need to add them. Negative 1 plus 3 turns out to be positive 2. Then you just repeat the cycle. Multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. Let me erase that. Negative 14 plus 6 comes out to be, mental math, negative 8. And then the last step, once again, you multiply. 3 times negative 8, negative 24. You add them, and there you go. 24 minus 24 is 0. Then, when you're doing synthetic division, each time you do it, which in this case we only did synthetic division one time, we have to decrease a degree. So your degrees will be a 2, that will become a 1, that will be a 0, and this number becomes a remainder. In other words, the 1 becomes 1x squared, the 2 becomes plus 2x, the negative 8, well, that should be a negative 8, and 0, that's your remainder. So we don't have to write it because it's 0. For space, move it over to the side. 1x squared plus 2x minus 8. I need to factor it. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. Alright, to factor it, this is the AC method. To do it, I need to multiply. Oh, wow. Restarting. Okay, where that left off. Okay, so I'm gonna just write it here. Okay, x squared plus 2x minus 8. Alright, so I need to multiply your coefficient. I need to multiply a with c. So that is 1 times negative 8. So that is negative 8. Then I need to find the factors of AC. My factors of AC are 1, negative 8, negative 1, positive 8, 4, negative 2, and negative 4, positive 2. Because when I multiply them, I get the top. Then I need to figure out my factors. I need to sum to my B term. My B is 2. Remember, it's A, B, C. So which one here adds a 2? Well, this one right here makes it 2. 4 plus negative 2, that will give me 2. So I'm going to, just for space, erase all the ones I'm not going to use and just use the 4 plus negative 2. Move it along. Okay, then after that I need to divide by A. I mean by A, not 8. Divide by 1, divide by 1. Simplify if possible. In this case, you cannot simplify. So the factored form will equal the numerator, the denominator goes in, it's the coefficient of x, so it's just x plus 4 parentheses, it's 1, so it'll just be x minus 2. And these are the factored forms. X plus 4 times the quantity of x minus 2 will be the remaining factors. Just make sure if they're saying make what equation is congruent to that equation, all you have to do is add this factor, which that factor will be x minus 3. Just be aware of that type of problem as well. Okay. 13. Solve the polynomial y equals x to the 4th plus 3x cubed minus 9x squared minus 23x minus 12 by graphing. So I already have this set. All right, so this type of equation, just right here. To find it, hopefully we all know how to graph it. Then you go to menu, you go to 6, and then you need to find your zeros. Because here, since we're solving it, we want the x-intercepts. You see this cursor? You're going to be using the trackpad. Click on it. You want to make sure it's before the line and after the line. So one of my answers was -4. Then we just have to repeat that over and over. Just we did the 2 more times. It's 0. This turns out to be -1. And then the last one, analyze, enters, not my bad, 0 over. Alright, so there we go. We got 3 points. -4, -1, and 3. The only thing here is this exponent is 4. We only have 3 solutions, so therefore we're missing one. Because of this, one of them has a multiplicity. This one was going straight through it. If it goes straight through the dot, that means it's a multiplicity of an odd number. So in this case, it's 1 and 1. Here, if it touches the intercept but bounces back, there's an even number. Since we have a total of 3 and we need to add 4, this one has to be an even number. The next even number is 2. So there's 2 of negative ones occurring at this point. It touches it and it touches it again instantly. So my correct solutions will be x is equal to -4, -1, -1, and the last one is 3. Just be aware you could also see the answer as set notation. It's very simple. It's just once again -4, -1, -1, and 3. Rather than me saying x equals, I could just write it in this notation. Either is correct. 14. Solve the polynomial g of x algebraically, given that x minus 2 is a factor. To solve it, we have to do syntactic division first. In order to do syntactic division, we need to find the root of x minus 2. In that case, we have to do x minus 2 is equal to 0. Solve for x equals +2. So we do syntactic division. First term is 1. See, it's cubed, so the next term has to be x squared. Since x squared is missing, as a place value, we have to plug in 0. Then it's back to -19. 11 plus 30. Back. Since we know that it's a factor, the remainder has to be 0. And we put 2 in the box. Hopefully this time I'm going to speed up syntactic division a bit. Bring down the 1. Multiply. 2 and 1 gives me 2. Then we add. 0 plus 2 is 2. Multiply. Gives me 4. Add. -15. Multiply. -30. We add them. We get 0. Remember, each degree is decreased by 1. So my new function is x squared plus 2x minus 15. Factor it. In order to solve it, we need to factor first, then find the roots of the factor forms. So that makes the factor form of x plus 2x minus 15 is equal to 0. The factor form will be -15. That will be 5, -3. Divide by 1, nothing changes. Why am I dividing by 1? Because the coefficient here is 1. So we have x plus 5, x minus 3 is equal to 0. This is factored form. The correct question is asking you guys to solve it. So see each factor equal to 0. So I'm going to zoom in now. So we have x plus 5 is equal to 0. X minus 3 is equal to 0. Solve for x. So we have to subtract by 5 to both sides and add a 3 to both sides. These will cancel, leaving with x is equal to -5 and x is equal to +3. And there we go. Final answer. Box it. All right, zoom out. Solving using syntactic division. 15. Find all zeros of the polynomial p of x is equal to 12x cubed minus 41x squared minus 38x plus 40. Since we're not given a factor or a zero of any kind, it'll be very difficult to do syntactic division. It's going to be a guess and check. because it's technology, we could just graph it and do the same thing. So we graph it, already have it ready. Here we go. Here's the graph. 12x cubed minus 41x squared minus 30x plus 40. We need to find the solution, so therefore they are called the x-intercepts. We have 3 of them this time. Menu, analyze, 0. One of them is negative 1.25. Next one, 0. Move it over. That is 0.667. So we go to menu, analyze, 0. Go back and forth, and we get 4. Just know as in the final, you will probably get them as a fraction instead. So just make sure you know how to turn them into a fraction. Negative 1.25, I know that is negative 5 over 4. 0.667, since it's rounded, I know it was continuing of 7, so therefore it's 2 over 3. And this one would be just 4. So going back, x will equal negative 5. My bad, error. Negative 5 over 4, comma, 2 over 3, comma, and 4. Next problem, the box method. Box problem. Alright, for this type of box, all it's asking us is usually we have to find the equation, but in this problem, they give it to us. They give us the equation. So 16, complete the table when x equals 4. All we have to do is just plug in 4. X represents your height. 36 minus 2x represents your length. And 20 minus 2x represents your width. Why is 36 your length? Because typically, according to this box, it's 36 by 20. We always write it as length by width. Hence, the width will be with the 20. Complete the table. So we just substitute in for 4. Length will equal 36 minus 2 times 4. That turns out to be 28. Width, 20 minus 2 times 4. After these short messages. Alright, so I left off with length is equal to 28. Width is equal to, just plug it back in and you'll get 12. So length 28, width 12. Volume, since it's a box, see it represents a box. A volume of a box is length times width times height. Oh, okay. So my volume is my length, which is 28, times my width, which is 12, times my height. In this case, it's 4. And that turns out to be the number 1,344. Just finish it off. 1,344. Next one, 17. Over what interval of x? So here we want an interval. So you had to do bracket of x. Will the maximum volume occur? Since we want a maximum, remember that means you're increasing, then you start to decrease. I like to use the symbols plus and minus. The best way to do this is use the table. We're talking about volume, so I have to use this column instead. From 0 to 1,000 260, it was increasing. So I always like to put a plus next to this line right here. Plus. Next, from 1,260 to 1,344, it still increased. Then on over, we decreased, and we decreased. You want to get a plus, then negative. The only time when a plus and negative occur is right here in this gap. What was the number? Okay, so we are left off with 1,344. So there was a plus and a minus. So we look at the number. Then I always like to, the interval will be the x value before and then the x value after it. So it's will be from 3 to 5, not 4. So my interval 3, 5. Alright, I guess that'll be it for KC7. Next video will be on KC8.